Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hi, I'm Supervisor Paula Mahan, and welcome to Colonie Connect. Today it's my pleasure to introduce our special guests. We have Bill Peak, founder and treasurer of Patriot Flight Incorporated, and Danielle Havel, president of the Patriot Flight Incorporated. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here today. What I'd like to do is have you share a little bit of information about your organization so our audience can learn a little bit about what Patriot Flight is all about.
Well, Patriot Flight is a corporation we formed about a year ago with the sole purpose of getting any World War II veteran to Washington, D.C. to see the memorial that was built 59 years after the war. They didn't have a chance to see it, and now that they're older, they can't get there. Mm-hmm. So we try to provide transportation, flights down, buses and whatnot, to get them there and home safely. There were 16 million people involved in World War II. There's less than 3 million of us left. Mm-hmm. We're dying at the rate of 1,500 a day. So we don't have much time left. We have flown people 82 to 92.
That's excellent. Excellent. It's an excellent opportunity that you've presented for the veterans. Was there one special reason that compelled you to form this organization?
Yes, there is. Some time ago, one of our local assemblymen wrote a small article in a local advertiser talking about his two sons taking him to Washington to see the memorial. I was so moved by his words that I went out to my wife and I said to her, "We're going to Washington." And she said, "That's wonderful. Why are we going?" And I said, "We're going to see the memorial." And she said, "Well, when you get to Washington, you're planning on flying, I hope." I said, "Yes." Mm-hmm. "When you get there, you're going to drive?" Well, that sort of made me go back in and rethink. So a little later I came out and I said, "Well, I'll organize a bus trip." Mm-hmm. "Good," she said. And she said, "You're going to take 80 to 90-year-olds on a bus to Washington, and the urgency to go to the bathroom is going to be there. It's going to take you 2 days to get to Washington." Mm-hmm. And of course, that sent me back to rethink. In the meantime, my daughter that lives in Rochester saw a short clip on PBS about a group in Hendersonville, North Carolina, that was flying World War II veterans to Washington. They raised money and flew these veterans free. Mm-hmm. That launched me on a crusade.
Okay. All right. Well, so I guess the more difficult part was figuring out the logistics as to how you were going to do it, and you got the idea when you saw that clip. So basically, the reason you got involved, I would think the obvious reason was because you are a veteran, and this means a lot to you, and when it was brought to your attention that you could help out by bringing the veterans to the memorial, I would say that that's your whole basis for getting involved.
Right.
Would you agree?
Exactly right.
Very good. And Danielle, how did you get involved with Patriot Flight?
I happened to pick up the Sunday paper, and there was an article about Patriot Flight requesting volunteers, and my family, my father was a veteran, my grandfather fought Rommel in Africa in a tank, my dad was Checkpoint Charlie at the Berlin Wall, and I felt compelled in their honor and their memory to volunteer my time, and that's how I became involved. And then I met Mr. Peak, and it was a done deal.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, we're all attracted to different types of organizations. There are so many volunteer organizations out there. So this one is very special to you, obviously.
Yes, it is.
And to become president of this group, it's really an honorable thing to do. So congratulations on your success, and also your new office located in the Beltran Living Center off Wolf Road.
Very nice.
That's wonderful. Are there certain criteria that a veteran has to meet in order to be flown by your organization? Do you have certain criteria that they must verify or whatever?
There is a criteria. They need to be a World War II veteran and serving in a certain time frame within the war. Mr. Peake would probably know that off the top of his head.
World War II ended in December 31st, 1946. If they served any time before that, they're considered, from 41 to 46, a veteran. We have no other means test for them. If they're World War II veteran, if they're millionaire or pauper, we take them free of charge.
Okay. All right. So the main criteria is being a World War II
That's it.
veteran. Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty simple. Of course, after serving and doing their duty to our country, it's nice to be rewarded in this way. So if they happen to be available and selected to go and make the visit with you, that's a wonderful reward, as well as an acknowledgement. Now, our veterans, when they go, and they range in age, as you say, what's a typical experience if we were to run into someone that took this trip with you? How would they describe their experience?
Well, there's a whole range of emotions takes place. And I think what comes to my mind is as I would stand at the memorial and look out over it and watch the veterans as they get off the bus, they're eager, and then suddenly they'll group up, or they'll be one-on-one, or one alone. And he might be in a wheelchair, and he'll wheel himself down to a part of that memorial, and he just sits there. And it's a remarkable transition to watch, to see the sadness in them, see the joy in them, and see the thankfulness. Young children walking up to them, shaking their hands, saying thank you. It's terribly emotional.
A lot of mixed emotions.
Oh,
you know.
unbelievable.
It's, I'm sure it brings back memories, as well as, again, the joy to know that they're being recognized and honored. So you're right, there probably are many emotions that you see, and that's okay. That's a good thing.
Yes,
that's
it
a good
is.
thing. It's all for a good cause. Do you have any special story, very compelling story that stands out more than another that you'd like to share?
Iwo Jima.
There's many stories. There's one that stands out particularly in my mind. We had a gentleman that had joined us at the last minute. He was a Marine from Iwo Jima, and he came to us from Connecticut. Our hub, we're part of a national organization, and our hub covers a 120-mile radius. We've taken veterans from New Hampshire, from Connecticut, from upstate New York, from everywhere that are close by to us. This one gentleman was called a TLC, and what the TLC means is the last chance. He was terminally ill, and he joined us the night before. I was able to call up his daughter. I'm also the flight coordinator. I'm in contact with every single veteran, and I'm the person that tells them to bring a jacket and bring their medication and bring their driver's license and all of those things. And this particular veteran joined us the night before. His daughter drove from Connecticut, a 3-hour drive, to us and stayed over in a hotel. And he was very quiet the whole beginning of the flight. When we have a motorcycle police escort that brings us to the airport, and it's very exciting. Many of the veterans have explained to me that this is the only homecoming they've ever had. And they explained that to me because they needed to have something called points to get home. And a vet in our last flight said that he arrived home at midnight, and everybody was sleeping, so they didn't even know that he was home. But this one particular Marine, we were running late. The bus was late picking us up from the airport in Baltimore, and he was very quiet and his very ghostly. His skin was, you could tell that he was in ill health. So the person that's our vice president, he's our logistics. I had gone and talked to him on the bus and asked him we need to stop at the Iwo Jima Marine Memorial. And he said, Danielle, I don't think that we have enough time. And I said, we really need to make the time to do this. We have to do this. And come to find out, the daughter had arranged with her daughter, who was the veteran's granddaughter, to meet us at the Iwo Jima Memorial. And this veteran, they wheeled him up. We stopped the bus. We didn't have everybody disembark because we just did not have enough time. We took him off the bus and wheeled him up, and he was able to get out of his wheelchair and walk up to the memorial and salute his fellow soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to watch.
Yes. Well, it's certainly a great memory to have, and it is very emotional. You know, we live in a society that's very fast today, and our students learn about history and study history when it's the appropriate grade level or whatever. But it's your type of organization that brings the reality to us that there's so much history here. There was so much commitment. There was so much heart that these veterans had and still have. And, you know, they lived in a time that maybe some of us have never experienced. And to be able to witness something like you've just described and to be able to really feel the emotion is truly an honor and an answer to what you do. You bring that joy. You know, you satisfy that need or that desire that maybe these veterans would have never asked someone to bring them, a family member or a friend to bring them to the memorial, and you just volunteer and offer and make a lot of people very, very happy. But it truly is emotional. It's very emotional because it brings reality to history that sometimes we only read about in books. So once again, you know, you should be commended for the volunteer work that you do.
I'd like to share one thing just happened this past week. One of the veterans that we flew called me and he wanted to make a donation. And I said, you know, we do not accept any money from a World War II veteran. Well, he said, I'll have someone else send it. I said, well, that's your business, but we will not take a donation from a World War II veteran. By the same token, I won't insult you. So we chit-chatted back and forth, and before we hung up, he said to me, when are you going to stop being nice to me? And that made my whole day. Mm-hmm. And this is what we hear time and time again. And she'll attest to this, because she gets really involved with some of these gentlemen. Mm-hmm. And where I'm more their age and I can understand what they're doing, and I don't get as emotional. But Danielle, as you saw, mm-hmm. she gets very close to these people.
Mm-hmm. And I can understand why. And you might just be a little tougher, Bill. That might be the reason. You might be a little tougher. And you
I'm
know,
a little older.
You're a little, yeah, well, you know, we all get there, but it's the important things that we do along the way. And you certainly have made it your goal to offer what you could to the veterans. So it's something that you probably think about it, but not as much as all of the people that you've made this dream come true. I'm sure they think about it a lot of the time. Right. And I know you mentioned, you know, you don't take the donations from the veterans, World War II veterans, but to fly a veteran to see the World War II Memorial, obviously there is some support that is needed. And what does it cost per individual to actually, you know, you have to put the program together and you've got to arrange the flights and whatever else, whatever other accommodations that you need to arrange. So per veteran, what is the cost?
It cost about $300 per veteran. That's including the airfare, the tour bus, the meals. The whole day is included all in that. It's one-day trip. Mm-hmm. We found there's other hubs that are able to put their veterans up in a hotel, but we find that when we fly, the flight is typically less than an hour long. So we're able to go down there, and when we explain the day to a veteran, some of them are very hesitant in going because they feel like it's a very full day that they might not be able to manage it. We have medical personnel that fly with us. We have support. There's a ground crew that supports us when we get to Washington. All of our veterans are very well looked after. And I can tell you from personal experience, watching all of the gentlemen, the men and women together, there's a camaraderie and a bonding that is so readily apparent because they're experiences that only they've had, being alive in World War II, the patriotic state of our country at that time, and they all share stories. So the veterans that fly together, they become friends. It's like a family. We're a family by the time that we get to Washington. So the veteran themselves, they don't pay a cent to go. We're truly funded by donations from the public. We've had turkey dinners, we've had pancake breakfasts, we've had booths at fairs, the Tulip Fest, you name it, we'll do it. We're not sponsored by corporations. It's truly a grassroots community effort that sends all of our veterans to Washington.
Okay. And I see on your card that you're the Patriot Flight Incorporated, the website, if someone's interested in finding out information about your organization or would like to make a donation, it's Patriot Flight 2008 at Verizon.net.
No. Patriot Flight Incorporated.com.
Okay.
Need your bifocals, they're kind of small.
All right, then I have I have two here, okay?
Yeah.
So it's www.patriotflightinc, all one word,
Right.
patriotflightinc.com.
Right.
Okay. All right, and what is the other address for?
That's for email addresses.
Okay. Okay. All right. So they can go on the site, and your office is at 6 Winter Circle, Colonie, New York, which is right off of Wolf Road.
Yes.
And that's your local office here.
Right.
Correct? Okay. Now, obviously, we're talking about World War II veterans, so time is a factor. And
Yes, it is.
so, as you stated, at first, some of the veterans, they have to really look at how much the day is going to take in and if they can handle that.
Yes.
It's important to try to get as many veterans to the memorial as possible while they're feeling good,
Yes.
okay, and well. So the time, it is a factor, and that's something that you take into consideration. And it sounds like you certainly have met all the needs and the logistics that you've planned out between having medical personnel on board,
Yes.
and then transportation when you get there, and everyone to arrange what you need as far as the day goes. So it's very organized.
Go ahead.
Each veteran is looked after by a guardian, and typically the ratio is 1 guardian for 3 veterans that are ambulatory. If the veteran is in a wheelchair, and we've taken many veterans in wheelchairs, then the ratio is 1-on-1. So we not only is there medical personnel with us, but there's also somebody to look after them for the day as well.
Okay. So it's a safe, comfortable
Absolutely.
setting and a safe, comfortable trip.
Yes.
The way that you have it set up, which is great. That's great. Now you know that we have in the town of Colonie, it's a volunteer group that is the Veterans Memorial group that is putting the memorial, which will it will be for all the services,
Right.
and it is being constructed as we speak in the crossings, and that will be a nice place in town where it's a passive setting, and our veterans and their families and friends can go there, and they'll be able to see the memorial, which it's quite beautiful. The architectural drawings are absolutely beautiful, and we are in the later construction stages, so hopefully we'll be able to see that come to fruition very soon. So that's something that we have in town as well, which is not far from the Beltran Center.
That's right.
And
Yeah, I see Bob quite often.
yes, so it's really a nice area to walk through and just spend an afternoon. Is there anything else that you would like to add, regarding the organization? Any?
Yeah, I think we should make note that we are a 501c3 organization, so we're a nonprofit. In fact, I just finished today the numbers I needed for the Form 990 for the 501c3. And that's something we have to satisfy the IRS with. We're also incorporated. We're New York State Charities registered. We've jumped through all the hoops that I know we have to jump through to be a legitimate corporation. The other thing I would like to mention is talking about donations. If we could, some way, have every small vendor, store, mom and pop, whatever in the town, it would give us $10. We would have enough money to complete our list of veterans.
Okay.
We're hoping to fly 140 this fall. And of course, that all depends on funding. And that's our goal. And we should satisfy that.
Well, hopefully our audience is listening, and that's a small price to pay for the happiness that you bring to our veterans.
It's as simple as $5 buys a box lunch. That's as simple as it is.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate we've had to cancel our May flight. We try and do 4 flights a year, but because of funding, we had to cancel our May flight. And I'd like to say something on a side note. And we were talking about urgency and time. In between our last flight in October and our first flight in the spring, I lost 3 of my guys that were on the waiting list. So time is really of the essence. And every cent that is sent to Patriot Flight specifically goes to send a veteran. My time is volunteer, Mr. Peake's time is volunteer, and it's a labor of love, and it's very, very important to us.
Okay. And how many people do you have in the organization at this point?
In the organization, probably 15. That's board of directors plus some volunteers.
Good, very good. Okay.
And they all have little roles. Some are very active, some just jump in and out. But the bulk of the work is done by the board of directors.
Well,
Danielle is a very hard worker.
I can tell.
She is.
I can tell. And I can tell your hearts are in it 100%. And it truly is an honor for me to have you here today and to be able to hear the wonderful stories that you told us about. I want to thank you for being in our town and representing the Patriot Flight organization. And I hope we've made many of our viewers aware of the fact that you're here doing this great work for our World War II veterans. And I hope that there is a lot of continued success and you can continue to make our World War II veterans very happy. And I know that we have a little clip that we're going to show as well, so our viewers will get a little idea of what this trip is really all about. And with that, I'd like to thank you both for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're very busy with your own lives and also with your volunteer work. So thank you for being here. And thank you for tuning in to Colonie Connect.